The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
I know you, your past, your future.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Empire, welcome to another month of the state of the Xbox Empire. Joining me this month is the one co-host with the mo-host, Donnie.
How you doing, Nathan?
Not too bad. How are you?
Doing well, man. Fresh off one podcast, roll right into the next podcast. It's good stuff. Let's do it.
I know you've been busy. You've been playing Smash. You've been talking Smash. Have you been sleeping at all recently?
No sleep, no rest for the wicked, man. Dude, can you imagine they released a fighter game that you have to unlock all the characters for? It's absurd.
I know. There's that has been some of the scuttlebutt on the internet is that people don't like that. But you know what? This isn't about a Nintendo podcast, Donnie. So you can take a back seat right now. We're going to talk about some Xbox because I know you love that too. But joining us also is the one, the Loboist with the Ricanist, Mr. Q. How are you, man?
It is an honor to be here. I think this is the first Empire show I make. I just haven't been able to make them, man. It's just, I don't know, it's just life and busy. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk some Xbox.
Oh, I know. It's been crazy as far as life goes. I mean, it's been tough to get schedule everybody up, but it's good to have you on here as well because if there's anyone that knows Xbox, it's the Loborican. And you know what? You've been playing a ton of games. I've been seeing you online playing Rainbow Six. I think I've seen you on playing a couple other games. What have you been playing recently? What's got your love?
Honestly, Rainbow Six the last couple of days that's been a comeback because Black Ops 2 kind of pulled me away from that for a little bit. It's kind of like the same crowd, like my community that plays Siege also plays Black Ops. So it's almost like Black Ops put like a little divider between us. And I've been playing a lot of Blackout Battle Royale. I jumped into some Battlefront 2 to check out the Clone Wars stuff, the Geonosis map.
I have
that game.
With that.
You have an issue with it? Okay, well let me mention the cons before you bring the pros before you bring the cons. I recently got a really nice 4K monitor. And this is my first time playing Battlefront 2 on my Xbox One X. Mm-hmm. That game looks so good.
Oh, it does.
And sometimes I'm just like, I know I should be killing the enemy, but I'm just staring at their gun and just everything around me. It's just so beautiful. And besides that, Assassin's Creed Odyssey has been taking a lot of my time. I think I'm around 55 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And I think around the 60-hour mark, I should be wrapping up that game.
Cool.
I'm not gonna try to complete everything,
right?
But yeah. Oh, and I mean Xbox. That's what I've been playing on Xbox. I've been playing other stuff in other unworthy consoles, but yeah.
You've been using your passport to escape the Empire.
I guess. Yeah. I've been visiting other foreign lands.
So I did want to mention about Star Wars because I actually booted it up last night too, and that was the first time since I did the whole Geonosis update in the Clone Wars. And I wanted to play as Obi-Wan. And I go in there, and I go, okay, heroes versus villains, or Grievous, I didn't care. And I couldn't choose either of them because you have to buy them. You have to, buy them in the in-game currency. And I didn't have, 35,000 credits. I had, maybe 10,000. I was like, I'd have to spend hours and hours and hours just to unlock these two characters. Why? I mean, I thought that was a thing of the past. Everybody was going to be unlocked.
I came across that same issue and I just didn't bother because I know that this doesn't solve the issue for you. Every time I play a hero in that game, I die really quickly. I feel like there are people out there that get more benefit from those heroes than I can do to my team, that I can bring to my team. So honestly, I just love playing as an assault trooper or as a heavy trooper. And every once in a while, when I make enough credits, I unlock the more elite grunts that do a lot of damage, and I love playing as those guys because then I get a bunch of kills.
Nice.
Honestly, what I love about like Star Wars is often just the depiction of the grunts, right? There's stormtroopers, the clone troopers, the droids, like all these grunt classes, right? So, and I just love being one of the grunts charging, for the Republic, like. I may shout that a lot when I play Battlefront 2.
Fair enough. You know what else I actually booted up last night for the first time in forever? And this is a good place to tell it because you're here with me, Q, is the Master Chief Collection.
Nice.
I hadn't played that since it got the Xbox One X patch, and it looks fantastic. The matchmaking works really well. I actually got an achievement when I was playing last night, just accumulation of games, I guess. But that still holds up pretty well. And I think
the effect, how great that game is running now is when underreported. And I'm not saying, like there wasn't other stuff to report at the time. But when that patch came in that, I don't want to say fix, but that, significantly improve the multiplayer matchmaking for that game. Like I was so overwhelmed with like positivity when that happened. I was like, this is great. This is awesome. Like, and honestly, like I haven't played a lot of Halo recently, but when I do play Halo, I'm mostly playing Master Chief Collection. I'm not going back to Halo 5 as much because the MCC matchmaking is so good now. And I'm just playing a lot of Halo 2 Anniversary. Because I just love how beautiful it looks on the One X and on a 4K screen. Yeah,
it looks really good. So, kin to that, we will be having a community game night later on this month. This is December. So watch the State of the Xbox Empire Twitter feed, also the PSVG feed for more details and times. But I believe you're probably going to see a little bit of Master Chief Collection pop up in there. What do you say, Donnie?
That's right, Master Chief Collection. We're gonna do a little Forza. We're gonna have a little fun, a little Xbox night. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good. So Donnie, since we had Q tell us what he's been up to, have you been playing anything on the Xbox recently?
I've been playing DMC Remastered. Either one of you play those games?
No.
With Devil May Cry coming out and a demo just launching from the Game Awards. It was just announced, the Xbox exclusive first demo, Devil May Cry 5. I grabbed a DMC Remastered, which I had, I believe, Games with Gold. It's in my library somehow. I don't even remember how I have it, but I played it a long time ago on 360. Was it back in 2010, 11? I think that game came out. And the version on Xbox One is incredible. It's beautiful. It looks great, and it's just a really, really fun game. If you want a hack and slash, a beat 'em up game, you want a real action game, and I love the way that Devil May Cry plays with like the controls. You have like a heavy, you have a soft. All the triggers do something, and you can get really crazy with combos and whatnot. And it's just nuts how you like pull structures across space and jump through them, and all the giant monsters and everything. So I've been like. Searching, I've been dabbling around with things on Xbox of late, just kind of going into Game Pass, going into my library and just booting stuff up. And that DMC was the one I was like, I really want to play this, and I sat down and played it. And I've been playing it basically all week, and I'd like to get through that. And then I've been playing a game called Mutant Year Zero. Which just launched into Game Pass. Launched into Game Pass. This was shown at XO18. Really cool game. It's strategy tactics RPG. It stars like this duck and this pig, gives you, like all the feels of like Beyond Good and Evil, that type of thing. It's got a really nice looking environments. Kind of the setting that you play in almost has like this Last of Us-ish, like a post-apocalyptic, like everything's old, everything's rusted, everything's overgrown. There are leaves over every wall and every fence and that type of stuff. It's Valkyria Chronicles like. Either of you played those games?
No, I have not.
Is it like it's like a turn-based? Is it turn? I mean, is that turn-based strategy?
Sort of, but the twist on these games, the Valkyria twist, is that it's all free action. Like you run around and do everything until you enter combat. Once you enter the combat phase, then it becomes turn-based strategy.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So like you can run around, find things, like you can go set up like your positioning and everything, see the enemies, hide. There's like a stealth mechanic. You don't want to like be in their zone or in their vision, but you can run around in real time all you want. and then once you enter the combat phase, then it starts the combat, and everything's two phase. It's pretty tough. It's pretty challenging. I tried it. The default category is hard, I learned. I set it back down to normal, and even in normal, it's pretty difficult. And it's really only difficult because it basically forces you to play a certain way. There's like one of the characters has like a silent weapon. The other character has like the shotgun or the machine gun or anything like that. And you can swap out the weapons, but typically you want to have one silent, one, go-getter. And you're supposed to like camp out on the periphery, take out as many people as you can silently before setting off the alarms and trying to take out the rest of them. If you do not do that, I have found in like I've played the game maybe 3 or 4 hours, you're probably going to fail. Because then they call in reinforcements, you get surrounded, it gets really tough. It gets really, really tough. And on normal, you recover health after every battle, but you can only carry one med kit with you. Like it's demanding. It's not tough, it's demanding. It requires you play it a certain way. And it's both a good, I would say I probably fall on it being a con only because I think it stops you from experiencing more of the environment and the storytelling that they have, and that is exceptional. It's actually really good. The fact this is a Game Pass game that, if you subscribe, you don't have to pay for. Like, you should definitely play this game and try it out. I just wish maybe there was just a little more leniency, a little more forgiveness for folks that might be turned off by the difficulty early on, because it's worth trying to stick with. But I understand they have a vision, and they kind of dictate to you how you play, which isn't, when you have a tactics game, you want to be the general. Mm-hmm. And you don't always feel that way with this game. But the characters and the world building are such that if you play it their way, you can still have a lot of fun because the storytelling is it's worth it. It's a lot of fun. That's what I've been doing on Xbox past week or two.
I have a question about that game. Have you played XCOM, Donnie?
I never have. And it's something that I constantly remember because people tell me because I like Fire Emblem, because I like Valkyria, I should play XCOM. And for whatever reason, over the years on our podcasting, we've asked ourselves or been asked, what's the best game you've never played? And I can never remember one, and I'm always looking them up. And I keep telling myself that I've got to remember XCOM. It's probably the best game I've never played.
I think so. One thing so my wife and I really like XCOM. Because we like the combat. I love the term. And Gears Tactics is supposed to be, I think it's what I'm hearing is that it's supposed to be kind of like that combat.
It is.
Which I love. I mean, I would love a Halo. I would play a Halo. I mean, I would play anything Halo, to be honest. But but I would love a Halo game that has that kind of combat. One turnoff for me about XCOM, and the thing that kind of drags me out, the part that kind of drags out the game is like the resource management. And sometimes you're severely limited by the amount of resources that you have in the game, especially early on. So you go from this turn-based combat to this more like where you are more like the platoon leader or the squad leader. You go back to this like very bird's eye view strategic resource management approach. And my wife just hated that. My wife just hates that part. She's like, I don't want to resource manage. I just want to go kill people.
Sure.
How do you feel like how much of that management was going on?
It's there, but it's all in between battles. I wasn't doing any of that really in battle. But in between battles, you kind of have to go back to the city, upgrade your stuff. You turn in, you find scrap metal, you get new weapons, you upgrade, and you go back out and you do the next mission.
But finding those resources, you find them in game, right?
Find them in the environment, or the enemies that you kill drop them. But you can, if you explore and look around, you'll find them.
Okay, well, that's cool. So it's not like this very abstract resource management. That's just okay. Cool. I like that. That's cool. Cool.
So you guys both need to play, if you haven't already, Massive Chalice. You talking reminded me of that game and how much I enjoyed that, because I never played XCOM, but I do know what you're kind of talking about with the positioning and the general kind of view. It was a game with Gold Game a couple of years ago, I think. So if you were kind of cashing those games in there, you probably still have it on your Xbox to play. It's a really good game. It's by Double Fine, actually. So I think if you enjoy that type of humor, you'd enjoy that game. Massive Chalice, a blast from the past there. And just for me, for playing games recently, the game that has been dominating my life has been Red Dead Redemption 2. I looked on the achievements on the app the other day, and I was just kind of curious how much time I put in it so far. And as of this recording, 149 hours. It's a bit much. But that's across the story mode and the online. I think I hit 100 hours before the online even came out. So online's in beta now. I've been playing that. Obviously, I've completed the story, but there's still a ton to do. Like, there's so much to do in this game, you guys. You can just play it forever.
Just to put into reference how much you've been playing that game, you start playing day one?
Yeah.
I bought Assassin's Creed Odyssey on Red Dead Redemption's day one. And I have for like 60 hours into Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've been playing it a lot. Mm-hmm. And you just straight up double my hours almost in the same amount of time.
Well, remember, too, that I played half of my Extra Life Marathon was Red Dead. So that was just like,
still, though, like, I mean, that's only like, at most, that's like a fifth of your total hours. But yeah.
It continues to be a good game. I think I'm going to put it on the back burner now and kind of move to other things because, like you said, you put 55 hours or so into Assassin's Creed. I put like 55 minutes. So I need to go back and play some more of that because I really enjoyed Origins, so I really want to play Odyssey. And I still have a Shadow of the Tomb Raider to beat. But I think, Donnie, you kind of soured me on even wanting to play it. But
on what?
I want to play it. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I thought you were.
No, I like Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider. It's just it wasn't. It's not Game of the Year stuff. Like in a year like this year, like that's kind of like a piece of gaming, chatter right now. Is it's really hard to get into like a really good 7. Mm-hmm. Or like a good 8, like a great 8, because there's a lot of really good games. Like, but I liked Tomb Raider. It's not as good as the last one.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the last one, and that's really kind of it. It doesn't mean I'm down on it. I enjoyed it. I played the whole thing in like 2 days. Like I went right through it. It's not like I didn't like. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't have played it. How many games do I not finish?
Yeah.
I didn't finish Red Dead.
Are you done with Red Dead? Did you cut it?
Oh, I quit. I quit playing Red Dead, and I've heard a couple spoiler casts, and I'm pretty sure I feel like I made the right call on that one. I also laid down my sword in Assassin's Creed 2. So like both the games have really captivated you. Yeah, they just didn't do it for me. So, but yeah, no, I liked Tomb Raider. Some of the disaster stuff was really, really neat. Just story wasn't there. The climbing wasn't fun, and there are things like that. But you get through it, and yeah, it's good. Good, not great game.
Yeah. Well, that kind of is a good segue into our discussion for today, because you look back at some of those games that have come out, and this has been a fantastic year for gaming in general, in my opinion. You've had some amazing games. Like, for instance, we're just going to talk about PlayStation for a second. You had God of War come out at the beginning of the year. Then you had Marvel Spider-Man come out. 2 fantastic games that I think are just... In a year where both of those games come out, you have a great selection of games, right? You also have Red Dead that comes out, Assassin's Creed, Forza Horizon comes out as well. So you have all these games coming out in 2018, and if you have like the PSVR, that the Astrobot Rescue game is getting rave reviews. The Beat Saber game that came out on PSVR, which was already on PC, but there's so much this year in gaming in general that we've had. But for the purpose of this discussion, let's talk a little bit about Xbox and what we've seen from them in 2018. So before we do that, though, Donnie, there was a little announcement recently with the Game Pass editions and the Winter of Arcade. So since it's still 2018 content, let's talk about that before we dive back into the past.
Let's put this year to bed before we.
That's right.
Yeah.
Kill the past. Sorry, what's it called? Oh, damn it! What is the Kylo Ren quote?
The past is dead. Let it die, or kill it if you have to. Something like that.
Kill it if you have to. Let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
So, EXO brought back the announcement of the Winter of Arcade, and Lobo and I had the pleasure of streaming over EXO 18, that lovely event, and we were both shocked that they didn't talk about any of the games. They literally just announced that Winter of Arcade was coming. Mm-hmm. That was it. They finally announced what it was, and it's to be excited about. So one, before we even talk about the games, if you buy the game, every game you buy on this list, get a $5 gift card. So if you buy them all, you have $40 in rebates because there's 9 games. Here are the games: Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, Mutant Year Zero, which just launched in the Game Pass, which I was talking about, Subnautica, Ashen, Xbox exclusive long-awaited indie game, which just launched in the Game Pass, Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek, Kingdom 2 Crowns, also launched in the Game Pass, Desert Child, below long awaited Xbox exclusive indie game Below, which also launches into Game Pass, and Donut County, a really good indie game, a short indie game from what I'm told by Kyle and Kevin that they really enjoyed. So if you buy any of those games, you get a $5 gift card. If you buy all of them, you get $40 back, and half of them launch into Game Pass, including the 2 system exclusives, Ashen, which is like this Dark Souls-esque game, and then Below, which is the one that I'm excited about, this action adventure like roguelike. And I typically don't like roguelike, but I'm excited to try it, one, because I love Game Pass. Like, it's easy to try something that you can play versus having to pay for, but also like the whole idea of exploring the depths and caverns and caves as you like go underground, that makes for a great roguelike. You know, because around every corner it's bound to be different, so what does it matter? But it's got a really great art style. It's dark and whatnot. And that just kind of leads into what an amazing month Game Pass is this month. So we get Shadow Warrior 2, Pro Evo Soccer, which, you know, I don't play all the soccer games. I think I'm trying to see, it's 2019, so it's the newest one. Mud Runner, Mortal Kombat X comes into Game Pass, fresh off the announcement that Mortal Kombat 11 is on the way. Ori and the Blind Forest, the definitive edition. If you still have not played that game by now, you have to now. Now there's no excuse. This is it. And then finally, you get your first taste of Ninja Theory when Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice launches into Game Pass for all Xbox Game Pass subscribers. I am planning on playing that game. It'll be my second time playing that game, and I will finish it again because that was one of my favorite games of last year, and it's one of my favorite games this generation. I'll absolutely love it. You got to play that game. So what a great little, you know, few days for Game Pass, few days for games on Xbox. You get a bunch of variety, there's something for everybody here. And as I do every month on State of the Empire, Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. Love this program. So,
You know, it's kind of funny with we're both Game Pass subscribers. I think you probably are too, Q, right?
I am. I'm a seasonal one. Like I come in and out. Yeah.
So, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, and I think all of these games, if not like 80% of the winter of Arcade, are going to be launching into Game Pass, does that compel you to purchase anything? Or tell me a little bit about your thought process, Donnie. Let's say you play Ashen or Below, which launches into Game Pass as part of this program. Would you be moved to purchase it? And would the $5 extra like bump help you?
Nope. That's why I love Game Pass, because I'm not constantly like buying things, I'm not scrounging reward points or anything like that. I don't. I just play them when they're in Game Pass, and if I like them, I keep playing them until I beat them. And if they leave Game Pass, I've already beat it. There are over 100 games in Game Pass. Like, it's absolutely shocking right now. I think it's like, at one point I was reading an article maybe a week or two ago. I think it's like over 125 at the moment, because they've been throwing all this backwards compatible stuff in there. Like, they just threw Fallout 3 in there, like on a whim one day. It's just like in there. Like, people woke up and they're like, what in the world?
They put Fusion Frenzy in there too from the OG Xbox as well.
There's so much there that there's definitely something for everybody in Game Pass. And like, I just love it. I like to try games. I know that. I'm not like, you know, everybody makes fun of me for not beating games. I do beat games. I beat plenty, dozens every year. But I like trying games, especially like in between releases. I love just scrolling and going through the store. I can't tell you how many times on other systems I just open the store and I just look through them and like what came out. See if anything visually grabs me or anything like that. Game Pass is perfect for that. I just scroll through lines and lines and lines of games, and maybe it's just like walking to Blockbuster in the 90s. Maybe a box art calls to me, you know, maybe a video gets me, maybe a trailer gets me, maybe a rating that somebody left gets me, and I download it and I boot it up. And a lot of times it's great because there are games in Game Pass that I would never buy. Like Ashen. I would never buy Ashen. I don't like Dark Souls. I don't like Bloodborne. I don't like hard games. I don't like being beat up. But because it launched into Game Pass, guess who downloaded it as soon as it was available? This guy, and I'm going to try it. I wouldn't play a demo of that game. But because they threw it into Game Pass, I'm totally going to give it a try. And who knows? Maybe it's the one that hooks me. I don't know. I haven't got there yet because I still got to finish my Devil May Cry demo. But yeah, I think that's the power of Game Pass, which is interesting because the power of Game Pass, the power of games is gold, and all these rebate programs make me start to wonder, like, over time, does that condition us against buying games? Like, I still buy games, I buy dozens of games, so I'm not like specifically worried about me, but there are definitely like games that I wouldn't buy that Game Pass like gives me access to, and I'm wondering, like, do devs start feeling the crunch of that as people go, I'll just wait for it to come to Game Pass. I'll just wait for it to come to Game Pass. Does that hurt? Do we have like a negative effect down the road?
That's an interesting question too. But you got to think that Microsoft's making it lucrative for these people to be launching into Game Pass to do this, because whatever voodoo magic that they have come up with in their algorithms to say a game is worth X or would be paid out X if X number played X hours, I don't know, whatever it is, right? But if like Forza Horizon 4, for instance, it launches into Game Pass, a fantastic game, amazing game, and you don't have to have purchased the $60 content. You just get that right into Game Pass. You boot it up, and now with Crackdown 3 coming, you can actually install that right now. So they've added the preloading capabilities. It's so convenient and so good. Like you said, with Microsoft's first parties, it makes sense because they have the checkbooks that they give on their own. But for some people, these littler developers, like for instance, I would say with Mortal Kombat X coming out, right? It makes sense for them to launch into Game Pass now, especially with that trailer that just came up, because people are now thinking about it and saying, well, how can I play this? Then Microsoft comes along and says, here you go, just download it here via Game Pass. People check out Game Pass, check out a couple other games along there, like you said, and it's just continues to be an astonishing value that nobody saw coming, to be honest. Like when the Game Pass was first announced, people were like, "What? This is weird." I like it; it makes sense, but how are they making money? But at the same time, every month it gets better. Like it just keeps on getting better, and then with everything launching into Game Pass, like that Winter of Arcade collection is coming to Game Pass, and all these other games. The next Halo is going to launch into Game Pass. Ori and the Will of the Wisps is going to launch into Game Pass. It's an amazing value that has grown over time. So let's talk about that now in 2018.
So wait, but let me address a point that Donnie brought up. I'm all about the little guy getting, working for his money and stuff like that. Like, and by little guy, I mean these developers, right? Especially for indie games. At the end of the day, like, when a Microsoft knocks on your door and they're like, hey, fill in the blank developer, here's an offer to put your game on Game Pass, right? Like, the offer is such, the developer can always be like, you know what? That's not for us, right? Like, we are confident that we can move numbers on our own. We're confident that we can, get our game out there and market it on our own and sell copies. But if for the specific publishers or developers that deal from Microsoft, whether it's money per weeks on the service or money per number of players that end up downloading and using it, whatever deal you're getting, whatever money per blank that you're getting from Microsoft, that's up to you. And if that's a good deal for you, then that's great, And I would rather, at the end of the day, will there be a day when we stop buying like individual games? I don't know. But I like to live in a market where that option, to buy into this library of games is an option for developers and publishers, right? Because if that market doesn't exist, then you have to survive in a market where it's all about people knowing about your game and buying the game, committing $30, $40. Obviously ranging, from $20 to $40 for an indie game, but the market offers this other opportunity, which is, hey, people can just pay a flat membership and come across your game, download it, play it, and maybe on their own later on buy it, or maybe through microtransactions support the work that you're doing internally through the game. So in that sense, I like the fact that we're in a place where that option exists for publishers and developers, and they don't just have to rely on their own marketing and moving copies. I think about that game that came out that got angry at Nintendo because Nintendo didn't give them enough. That thing that came out, it's like it was a game that looked a lot like Dead Cells, I think, or whatever, and they felt like Nintendo didn't give them enough marketing, FaceTime, whatever.
Enough push.
Yeah, and it's like, well, if there was a Game Pass in Nintendo, they could have just gone in there and just maybe through the membership service just find a way to reach out, become accessible to people.
I think your point is well made in the sense that when you launch your game into Game Pass, or just even put your game into Game Pass, you're getting yourself marketing that you probably otherwise couldn't afford. Right. And it's got to boost sales on other platforms. It's got to boost sales because, we see it video games more so today than ever before are a really hard business to get eyes on your product because there's thousands of them. It's a sea of stuff. So when Microsoft comes out and goes, hey, here are 6 games that we recommend you play this month, they put it all in their promotions, they tweet at it. Those indie games could never get that on their own.
Right.
And you got to think it does well, even just for notoriety, like Steam sales probably pick up. You know, like there's got to be kind of like some pros and cons there, but yeah.
I think it helps the market as a whole, and I think it's there for publishers and developers that want that. And if they don't want it, then they don't have to go into it. You know, like they can always say, "That's not for us." You know, we'll try to do it on our own. So, yeah.
So, kind of sticking with the Game Pass notion, earlier this year is when Microsoft announced that all their first-party games were going to be launching into Game Pass. They surprised everybody again by doubling down on this, and has caused Game Pass to be a something that we here at PSVG have talked about on multiple podcasts about how good the value is, and other podcasts are out there talking the same thing. So as you look out through 2018, there's been some great additions into Game Pass. There's been obviously the launch of Forza Horizon 4, which is arguably one of the best games of the year, especially in the racing category. And then you also have the addition of like the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, these games that are continuing to get support by the developers and that are still great games for people to go play. You've had games like the smaller ones that come out, Sniper Elite 4, which isn't a huge game, but it was added into Game Pass. And Strange Brigade just recently, that was another smaller one, but a lot of people really enjoy it. The notion that you get online with Game Pass and how it's grown is that with a game like Strange Brigade, people had seen it and they were like, "Oh, what's this?" But there were other games that came out at the time of when it launched that caught their attention. But now that it launches into Game Pass, or no, I say gets added into Game Pass, let's say that, it'll get more attention because people will be like, "Oh yeah, that game that came out, I want to play it." So as the 2018 has gone on, they've doubled down or tripled down even on Game Pass this year. So I know we've talked extensively pretty much up to this point about Game Pass and how it's grown and how its utilization goes. But do you guys have any other thoughts specifically on what you've seen in 2018 on Game Pass, Donnie?
I'm really excited to see just twofold. It was really cool during E3, with announcements like Fallout 76 and with announcements like Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls that they launched, Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 4, Fallout 3. I think that's a really cool cross-promotion marketing reach and advantage that Microsoft has that they can build because it's going to help them sell copies of the newer games when they do launch. And I think that's something that's worth looking forward to. It's just the power of back compat. That's really cool. I like that with Game Pass. And I lost my other thought. So go Q.
I just love the fact that I am playing games on Game Pass. That, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest, not every game is for me. I love Microsoft. I want to support Microsoft as much as I can, but I gotta, I have priorities, right? I gotta, every time a game comes out, to think, is this game worth my money? I play games this year on Game Pass that I would never have played otherwise, and if me playing those games generated some sort of revenue or just exposure or feedback for the developer, then that's a win. For example, State of Decay is not my game. That's not a kind of game that I'm into. I would have never have bought that game on my own. But through Game Pass, I spent a solid month and a half on State of Decay. I would not, and I paid my membership through that month in part to play for State of Decay. So that is me being an outlier, and I wouldn't really that's not a game that's for me. I fall outside of that, but I committed to it a month and a half because it was accessible through the membership. Forza, I'm not a racer. I'm not a car guy. That's not who I am. But I put in, significant hours into it, more than I would have ever put into it had it not been for a game for Game Pass. So I think just that exposure to all sorts of games that I would never play otherwise is great it's a win-win-win, like Michael Scott would say. So
thanks for reminding me of my point. My point was going to be that we're seeing these online games, Forza, Strange Brigade, the upcoming Crackdown. Game Pass is a really cool place to have an online multiplayer-centric game. State of Decay, you're almost guaranteeing a player base which is going to help with improving the game. It's going to help getting customer feedback. There's so many of these games that fight for that. They fight for an audience, even just to keep their game going if it's multiplayer centric. And Game Pass provides an avenue for that. You can get Microsoft behind your multiplayer game. You can put in there, and you're almost guaranteed that you're going to have players playing it because they've got an audience, and that's another powerful thing.
And to add to that, you, especially because you highlighted multiplayer games, whether it's good or whether it's good or bad, or whether it's who it benefits, I don't know, but we're coming into an era where a lot of baseline games are expected to be free. Whether it's Fortnite or fill in the blank,
or cheaper, if
or
not
cheaper,
free, cheaper, but they have all these transactions and content you can buy in the game.
Exactly. Yeah, publishing developers, they're trying to find ways to offset the $60 cost, right? And now a lot of that may come through internal microtransactions. But then, for example, when Black Ops 4 came out, there was a lot of conversation about whether eventually the Blackout Battle Royale mode was going to be either free or sold separately at a reduced price. So then if you have very heavy multiplayer games coming out and you're charging $60 for them, suddenly, because the market is changing, there's this expectation that, man, you're just charging too much, or when are you going to reduce the price on this? And having a service like Game Pass where those games can exist and basically be played through that membership, it creates a natural competition to the expectation that these games should be free or should come out at a reduced price.
Yep.
So let's shift away from the Game Pass for a moment here, and looking back at 2018 as far as backwards compatibility. Mm-hmm. So it was in 2018, I think it was in April, that they had the original Xbox backwards compatibility came into fruition. You could put your original Xbox disc into your Xbox One, and you could play your old games that you had there, and you could also continue to play your 360 games that you had that were backwards compatible as well. So in 2018, they added over 100 games into the backwards compatibility catalog.
Yep.
That is fantastic. I mean, and wasn't it last year people were like, well, nobody plays backwards compatibility, right? Wasn't that a thing someone was trying to say? Nobody plays it?
It was one of those PlayStation executives.
Old game is old.
Right.
Who wants to play old games?
I mean, but obviously the data is that they're getting is positive for this, because for me, I've played some of the OG backwards compatibility games. I've played some of the 360 games this year. I put a lot of time into
I've bought
some
360 games this year,
yeah,
on disc. I have 4 or 5 of them over there.
I even bought digital versions of the OG Xbox games because I just wanted them there, because you had a lot of Star Wars games got launched in there, and I was like, well, I want this just digitally. So I bought Knights of the Old Republic just to have it digitally anytime I want to play it on my Xbox. Yeah. So looking at the backwards compatibility, has there been anything that stood out to you in 2018 that was added into it? Oh, and take note that over 50 of these games that are in backwards compatibility now have received Xbox One X enhancements, so that way they look even better than they originally did on the hardware at the time. So just thinking about backwards compatibility, Q, is there anything that has stood out to you this year that you've made use of or that you've taken a special note of?
I go back to, I'm in a secret cult where we play Halo Reach. Don't tell anybody. I gone back to Halo Reach a few times. I gone back to play Crackdown, the original. I think that got added more recently. I've gone back to play Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. There's just all these niche games that eventually they'll be forgotten. But for the time being, like they have a very special place in my heart, and I love being able to go back and play them. I don't know if those were added recently or not, but those are games that are definitely still in my library, and I go back to at least once a month for sure.
Donnie, is there anything you said that you've bought in a few 360 games? What compelled you to do that?
I'm trying to look them all up so I can tell you all the ones I bought. I don't know if I can't remember them all, and they're across the room. I bought any of the Suda51 360 games that are backwards compatible, and I bought Lollipop Chainsaw hoping that it gets 360 compatibility. So if it does, I still have a 360, so I can still play it, but I haven't even opened it. It's still in the shrink wrap. I bought it for like $13. It's like one day they'll add it to Game Pass, or they'll add it to back compat, and I'm going to play it. But I bought Oh, so I played Red Dead Redemption, and saw the 4K update and how glorious it looks, and it looks amazing. I've seen the Final Fantasy update, that everybody was talking about when they announced all the Final Fantasy games coming to Xbox. That's insane. The update on the Final Fantasy game, I'm not even sure which one it is it X2?
13.2.
13?
Is it 13.2? Yeah.
It looks like a brand new remaster. Seriously, like a brand. It's insane how good it looks. I'll never play it, but I looked at it because that stuff is really cool. I played Crackdown. I played a lot of Crackdown actually, like trying to get hyped for it, getting excited for it. God, man, you make me want to run across the room and go see them all because I bought the Castlevania Lords of Shadow collection, both of them. I played the first one Halloween. I was streaming that during Trick or Treat Halloween time. God, I think there's a Resident Evil in there. I played Killer's Dead. Either one of you play Killer's Dead?
No.
It's a Suda 51 game. I played that one. Lords of the Damned is another one. I bought that and played that. So I've got a bunch of 360 games on my hard drive, on my pins, on my homepage. Things that I go back to on I bought Call of Duty 2,
Modern Warfare 2, or Call of Duty 2.
Call of Duty 2.
Oh, wow.
The old one. I went back to that. I bought that one when it was on sale one time. Because here's the cool thing about the 360 games is if you pay attention to to Major Nelson, you pay attention to the blog. When they do these sales, like Black Friday sale, Game Awards sale, anything, some of these backwards compatible titles go on sale for like $2.
Yeah.
Like they get really cheap. You can pick up 5, 6, 7 games for like $10, and I'm always hawking them. So there's so many that I've added to even the library. A Fight Night, I got that one too. That's another one that I got, and I played a little Fight Night, and it looks great and it runs amazing. There's too many. I'm gonna keep just sitting here going because there's too many. I had a bunch of them.
I feel like I'll become known as a capitalist in the PSVG crew, but it creates a great market for people talk about GameStop and all these mortar brick stores kind of going by the wayside. Look, man, if you play your cards well, you can walk into a GameStop, take advantage of backward compatibility and buy like a ton of games. I briefly worked at a GameStop in the last couple of years, and there's so many dirt cheap 360 games that are backward compatible. You can find them more at a better price at GameStop than even digitally. And it supports that side of the market too. That it keeps it alive in many ways, or it gives it like a rebirth. So. And I forgot, Rainbow Six Vegas. I played both of those games from beginning to end through backward compatibility.
Are they both backwards compatible?
Yep.
Yeah, I played everything that is Tom Clancy on backward compatibility. I basically played it because I wanted to play them again.
Too.
Yeah, Rainbow Six Vegas. It's the mechanics. The Splinter Cell. The mechanics are all there. I'm waiting for them to bring Splinter Cell Blacklist.
It's on.
I don't think. What?
It's on.
Well, I guess I need to catch up with my own library. Yeah. So in that case, I'm gonna be playing that. And XCOM Enemy Within, I play that game again through backward compatibility.
Apparently, I got to make that a thing too. I've got to get that going as well at some point.
There's over 550 games in back compat right now, so there's a lot of opportunities there.
I never played any of the Xbox ones, like the original Xbox ones. I never played.
Well, you'll be able to via Games with Gold this month. They're going to give you Mercenaries, which is one of my top 5 games from the OG Xbox. It was, I heard it described recently, and I agree. Just Cause before Just Cause.
Hope it's better.
Oh.
It's blow everything up. You can launch nukes, you can take down buildings, you can fly helicopters around and just do all kinds of stuff. I played that game for a very long time back in the day. Very excited about that to come into Games with Gold.
I got Left 4 Dead, Metal Gear, the HD collection. I bought the Silent Hill HD. I'm sorry, I got into my account. I finally got into my download history, my account. I got the Silent Hill HD collection. I got Saints Row, Battlefield 1943, Fight Night. I keep scrolling.
So what's interesting too is, thanks to back compat, Call of Duty Modern Warfare was once again in the top 10 list for the month that it went into back compat.
So good.
That is crazy, man.
It wasn't just
this should not be happening. Those games should not be coming back, but they are because of the service. Yeah, that's crazy.
It just goes to show you that backwards compatibility does in fact get played and is utilized, and that's
I mean,
a really big win.
Yeah, ask Nintendo if backward compatibility makes them any money, right? Like how many times people talk about that many times that they bought these games over and over again. I mean, Donnie's right here, right? Like I don't. It's like
I have. I mean, I would have never thought of myself as like the retro person. When I think retro,
Right.
I think like old consoles, right?
Yeah.
But it's like becoming clear to me as we talk in our Discord stuff. I play older games, I think, way more than most of our folks do. I bought a PlayStation 3 this year. like I've got one behind me, but I love the X and the ecosystem because it's so much. I don't have to buy new hardware. I don't have to hook anything up. I don't have to unplug anything. It literally is just there. Everything that I bought in that ecosystem years ago is just there. You just go in and download it. Anything that I ever had with Games of Gold, they're launching stuff into Game Pass. If you have EA Access, they have a bunch of 360 games, stuff that I never owned that I can go in there and play. Was it Battlefield Bad Company?
Mm-hmm.
I freaking love that game. And I played it on Xbox through EA Access. Just blowing up walls and stuff, just goofing around.
By the way, you can play Black, the original Xbox game, via EA Access as well.
It's awesome.
So let's move on. I mean, backwards compatibility is a phenomenal year for that, obviously, with the 100 new additional titles and the Xbox One X enhancements. But we must continue on and talk about probably one of the biggest things that Microsoft did this year as far as forward-facing, looking towards the future, investing now to get the results in the near term. And that is the addition of new studios. So you guys know that one of the gripes people have or complaints about Microsoft and Xbox is that there's no exclusives. You look at Nintendo, it's full of exclusives. You look at Sony, it's full of exclusives. An exclusive won the Game of the Year this year at the Game Awards. So they added 7 new studios this year so far. And I don't think they're going to add any more, but there's always talk and scuttlebutt about them looking at other developers. So they've added 7 new studios. One that they've created from the ground up is The Initiative. So that's their Quad A, they call it. So look for big things from that developer for sure. I'm curious to see what they're going to come out with, but they also added Undead Labs, which is the developer that makes State of Decay. Playground Games, obviously Forza Horizons team. Ninja Theory, which is the Setsuna's Sacrifice. What's it called?
Hellblade.
And the Compulsion Games, who made the that weird little game that was kind of Bioshocky but wasn't that great.
Sorry. I'm here for you, and I completely forgot. You're right. I wanted to play it, and I'm waiting for it to hit Game Pass. That's one that I was like, I'm waiting for it to hit Game Pass. What is the name of that game? I only know about it because Sean Capri did not like it. We Happy Few.
We Happy Few. Yeah.
We Happy
Few.
Yeah.
And I played the beta for it and did not like the beta. And they went away for like 3 years and came back with a game. And they launched it. They launched it at full price. And based on what I heard, wasn't great. But I'm still interested in it when it hits Game Pass. I'm literally waiting on it to hit Game Pass to try it.
So those 5 developers were announced at E3. That was big. That was a big,
That's
boom,
huge.
boom.
That's great.
at that
They just
conference.
almost doubled their entire internal first party output.
But they weren't done. They added 2 more that they announced at XO18, and that is In Exile, which I can't for the life of me remember what game that they made. I think was it Pillars of Eternity? I think it was Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah, that's it.
And then Obsidian.
No. It's a Bard's Tale. Isn't that like their big thing? That's Wasteland, a Bard's Tale, because Obsidian did Pillars of Eternity, I think. Wasteland 3, I know. NXL does Wasteland. That's their thing. They do Wasteland and a Bard's Tale, which I don't know about, but apparently it's really big on PC. A Bard's Tale is a thing.
Okay.
I don't know about it,
you're
but I know
correct.
about Wasteland. They did Wasteland.
Yep, Wasteland 3 is upcoming, and then Torment, Tides of Numeria, and then the Bard's Tale. So if you're familiar with those games, those are the In Exile games. And Obsidian, they were known for, as it was mentioned, Pillars of Eternity, South Park, The Stick of Truth, Fallout New Vegas, and of course Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords back in the OG Xbox days. And they have that new The Outer Worlds game coming out that looks really cool.
Awesome.
So
yeah, that looks solid.
These are 7 new teams that are going to be working for Microsoft properties, right? That's in addition to 343, the Coalition, Turn 10, Rare, their global studios, and the Minecraft team. They've got a heck of a slate now. So just maybe 1 or 2 of these studios that were acquired or built that were announced this year, what would you like to see from 1 or 2 of them? Let's go to you, Q.
Man, I'm not ready for that question. I would like, I can answer it by not answering it in a very political way, in a Washington, D.C. curveball, since that's where I live. I'll answer it by saying this is what I want from Xbox in the management of those studios. I want the deployment of these studios and the way they deliver their products, which is their games, to be structured in a way that entices me, which I'm not a 12 months of the year Game Pass member. I want you to convince me to get Game Pass every month in a way that not only is like through the content that's already there and the titles that you're adding and, you know, like on a monthly basis, but I want you to deliver first party products through Game Pass in a structure that tells me and convinces me as a consumer to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and get Game Pass for the entire year because I have so much to win from that deal. That is, I mean, and so for me, the challenge to Phil and to the Phil Spencer and the executive leadership at Xbox is getting these projects on their way at a level of effectiveness and efficiency that they can convince someone like me and many other gamers to buy into Game Pass for the long term, for the long haul. So that's how I'm going to answer your question, by not answering it. You're welcome.
Very good. Donnie, I'm going to throw it to you in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and give a couple kind of games that I'd like to see out of a couple of them. So from the Initiative, the Quad A developer, we've seen a couple exclusives recently on consoles. One was just announced, one was out this year. So Marvel's Spider-Man was exclusive to PlayStation. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 is going to be exclusive to Switch. So I would like the Initiative to make a Quad A fantastic Marvel exclusive game, let's say featuring Iron Man. You know, I'd like to see something, you know, because that way everybody gets a little piece of the pie, everybody's happy, everybody kind of gets, you know, that thing. And it makes sense, you know, Iron Man being the technological kind of guy, kind of going to the most powerful console, right? So I would like to see something from the Initiative to that effect. I doubt that's going to happen, but they'll probably make their own IPs out of that. And then the other thing is from Playground Games, and I think Donnie's probably going to share this too. We've heard the scuttlebutt for a long time about Fable coming back. I would love nothing more than Fable to come back, and for Playground Games or even Ninja Theory to kind of be at the home there to kind of hone that in and bring that into fruition. So Donnie, I'm going to toss it to you. What would you like to see?
Fable. I need to see Fable. I need to know that it exists. We know it exists, but I need to know that we know it exists. I mean, outside of that, to touch on what Q said, as we kind of do our year in review, if we're not counting any like indies, if we're just talking like first party, 2018 Microsoft only launched 3 games. That's not enough. That's not enough, and that's why they bought all these studios. So they know it's not enough. They agree with that statement, and they're fixing it. I give them a pass. I'm not throwing like a hard stone their way. But it really hurts when, like, let's say 2 out of the 3 didn't do it for me. So like for me, I really only really played 1. And there was tons to play. It's not like I don't have a thing to play, but I expect more out of our hardware manufacturers. So I want them to get on a good development schedule. No more cancellations, no more long delays. Let's be professional. Let's announce timely stuff. Let's hit our dates, and let's get on. I would like to get on some sort of cadence. I would like to expect, 3 to 5 games a year from first party that are spread out that I can expect and depend on, that are being there, that I can look forward to. I've been looking forward to Ori and the Will of the Wisp. It feels like 2.5 years now. It's like, why is this still not here? And like even at the Game Awards, he mentioned like in 2019 you're gonna enjoy, like the way Phil had talked about Ori and the Will of the Wisp makes it sound like it's not. He said at E3 we look forward to showing you more about Ori and the Will of the Wisp. I thought Ori was like February. Now it's like not even June. Like it seems like it's being softly delayed, even though it's not delayed. Like so. There's things like that I'm hoping to get rid of. When it comes to the newcomers, this upcoming Obsidian game, even though it's not exclusive, looks great. I look forward to playing it. I would love it if it launched into Game Pass. Even though it's not exclusive, let's make it exclusive by making everybody want to play it on Xbox. Like, let's get big promotion. Let's bring them into the family. Let's do it real big. I'd like that. I need to know whatever Ninja's Theory doing, and I want to buy it. I don't know what it is. I don't care, but I want to throw them money because Hellblade was so good. And Ninja Theory has such a good history. Like, even outside of Hellblade, there's such a good history working on other people's games. They're just a really good studio. Xbox has its huge pillars. They got their Forza folks, they got Halo and Gears, and they make big AAA games. I don't know if Ninja Theory is ready to be that quality-wise, but damn it if they're not close. Like, they're right there on the edge, and I see them as like a studio that could really come with something. It doesn't even have to be big, just something of utmost quality. If they can hit us with another Hellblade, a 10, 12-hour story 2 or 3 years from now that tells a nice, riching, story, it's fun to play and everybody gets into, that's something Xbox needs. There's gamers out there that like that stuff like me, and there's not enough of them, and they depend on it completely for third party. So I'm really excited for them. So the new studios are very exciting, bunch of them for a bunch of different reasons. But I'm ready to see Fable. I'm ready to get a nice, good schedule going, and whatever Ninja Theory's doing, I want to see it, show it to me, talk about it. I want to follow it. I want to read blogs about it. I want to read rumors about it. I need it. I needs it.
So, you mentioned that Microsoft had 3 exclusive games to the console this year, and talking about those, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2. Forza Horizon 4, all of which, again, did launch into Game Pass. So I just wanted to kind of gauge the barometer here of our little panel and see, of the exclusives, what do we think was the game of the year for Xbox exclusives? So you have a small playing field, but I'm pretty sure it's one of those things where it's pretty clear, in my mind at least, which one of these would be the game of the year. But I want to toss it to Donnie. Which of these exclusives to the console do you feel like is the best, the cream of the crop for 2018?
And I would just want to clarify, I appreciate that Coach Mo loves Sea of Thieves and State of Decay. I'm glad that there are gamers out there that love them, but I believe that this question is unobjectionably Forza Horizon 4. Those other games might be good. They may have fans. They may not be for me. They may be for you. Forza Horizon 4 is a better game than those other games. Just a better game. It's a really, really good game. It's got tons of quality content. It was really good. It's not my favorite Forza though, which makes me feel like I'm being a hater, but I'm not trying to be. I played a lot of Forza. I definitely played 15, 20 hours of it. I got my fill for it. I played it the other day. I didn't have anything to play, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go play some Forza. And I'm looking forward to Xbox Community Game Nights. Now that we're Patreon powered, we've committed to playing them every month. I'm sure we're going to be playing a lot of Halo, a lot of Gears, and a lot of Forza because they're great. They're evergreen titles. You can always play those games. Maybe we do Forza 4 this month. Maybe next month we play Forza 3. I'm not opposed to going back. Like, we've been talking about old games for 40 minutes. So, those are evergreen titles because they're so much fun to play. Yeah. And Forza 4 definitely kept that. It's still fun to play. Now, I don't like that it snows. I'm going to tell you this right now. We need to check. We need to check the calendar. If it's snowing that week, we're not playing Forza. We're going to play different Forza because I don't like the snow. Yeah, we're going to play a lot of Halo. But yeah, Forza's the best of the bunch.
Q, what say you?
I wouldn't usually say Forza, but it has to be Forza, and I think Forza was a refreshingly great product in a year where a lot of the other products were just not that great. If this had been a Halo year or a Gears year, then it would have been a different conversation, at least from my end. But Forza, once again, I put a significant number of hours into Forza, probably 10 to 15 hours, maybe a little bit more than that. And like I said, that's not a game that I played. I wouldn't have bought that game, but it was on Game Pass. And I jumped on there and I put in way more hours than any racing game in my entire life. And I think that shows the quality of game that it is. It kept me playing. It kept me doing missions and driving around. And that's a game that, like, I mean, from the get go, it has like close to zero appeal for me. And I think it was a great product. And I think it got recognized last night, right, at the TGAs or whenever, last night from when we're recording this. I mean, by far, not just by, not just at the top, but by far the best of its genre, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to go ahead and make it unanimous and officially crown the exclusive of the year as Forza Horizon 4 for Microsoft. So again, we've played a lot of this game. Q, you played more than you anticipated on a whim, kind of, because it was just there in Game Pass. You could play it. Being a Forza fan for a while, especially the fan of the Horizon series, I put a lot of time into this game. I was running through the streets and unlocking all the streets and driving down everything and just wanting to see everything and smashing all the billboards and looking at the leaderboard and making sure I'm ahead of Donnie and everything like that as I'm going along. And collecting the cars and making them the way I want, and just the visuals in the game and everything. Even though you don't like snow, Donnie, it is pretty in the snow.
Oh, it's beautiful. No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
But it's one of those games that is, like you said, evergreen. You can play it for as much as you want or as little as you want. You can hop in there and just kind of drive around and just kind of goof off for 15 minutes, or you can play for a couple hours by playing some races and some head-to-head stuff and some tag and stuff on the competitive side. It just really, it nailed it. Again, I'm excited to see what the expansions bring for that. The Treasure Island or whatever it was called expansion, Paradise Island, coming out. And then there'll be a second one later on. But, with Forza Horizon 3, we got the expansion pass that gave us the Hot Wheels DLC, and we also got the Blizzard Mountain. So it'll be interesting to see what all we get from the DLC for this.
Well, they showed they got this big mountain with the lightning storms and everything that they just showed as their first little pack. Mm-hmm. I wasn't into it, so that's why I don't even remember the name. I was like, yeah, I'm probably not going to do that. Same thing I did with Blizzard Mountain. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And then they launched Hot Wheels, and I just bought the pass. So that's probably what'll happen. They'll do their lightning storm thing. You'll tell us how great it is for 3 months. Then they'll announce Hot Wheels, and then I'll buy it and play it.
There you go. What if I told you that the island never snows? You can just go in there.
That's a good start. That's a good start.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with that, and I do think that out of the three, it is probably the undisputed exclusive of the year for Microsoft. So, gentlemen, there was one other thing that Microsoft put out this year that was fantastic that I really wanted to kind of spotlight for just a second, and that was the adaptive controller. They wanted to make sure that gamers of any sort of physical disability that was able to that wanted to play games could play games. And so they released the adaptive controller. It wasn't very expensive. I think it was maybe 80 or 100 as far as the base unit goes, but you can plug in different components to it to make it work however you need it to work to make sure you can play the games. And they recently launched this the ad that has these kids go into this one kid's house and he's sitting there playing a game. You don't know what game it is, but he was finally able to do it and beat something, and something that he probably wasn't able to do before, he's able to do now with the adaptive controller. It's just one of those things that they didn't have to do this, but by showing that they did and that they were able to bring it to market, and it's just without much fanfare either. They just put it out. Mm-hmm. This is coming. It's out. It's just such a nice, refreshing thing to see them wanting to make sure everybody can play that wants to play. Whether it's, someone wanting to play on PlayStation or whatever, because you can actually get an adapter and use the adaptive controller on PlayStation. It's not a Microsoft adapter, obviously, but being able to use that for them to make it, for them to put the R&D into that and invest in that, just speaks so much volumes to who they are in 2018 and who they are going forward into 2019. So I want to make sure I brought out that little thing for before we close out our discussion for 2018 for Xbox. So as a last word for you guys, I'm going to toss it to you both. Q, is there anything else that you'd like to say, final words for Xbox's 2018?
I like that I was going to bring up the adaptive controller, but not particularly talking about the device itself, but more about what it reflects about the company and the state of Xbox and Microsoft. I want to somewhat disagree. It's those kind of products are, we say they're not necessary, but I would say they are. We're getting to a point in our culture where the companies that are innovative and are staying ahead of public opinion, those companies are the ones that shine brightest, right? So I would argue that Microsoft delivering this kind of product, the adaptive controller, way before anyone thought this is something that they need to release, and surprising us by being very innovative in that sense, it shows where the leadership of the company is at and where the leadership of Xbox is at, right? They're delivering products to us and to the consumer ahead of when I think I need them. Now, I don't want to compare Microsoft to the iPhone or Xbox to the iPhone, but in many ways, a company is in a good place when they can dictate the products that the market wants next. Maybe the Xbox was a little bit way too far ahead when it came out, or when there was a different kind of product. But I think we're finally at a place where it seems like Xbox is kind of tracking and they're getting some friction, and they're finally at a point where like, hey, like this is a product they've been working on. You didn't know you want this product, but now that you see it, you're like, you know what? This adaptive controller, this is a great idea. The Elite controller is something else that I didn't know I wanted the Elite controller until I got the Elite controller. And I was like, actually, I really wanted the Elite controller. This is great. This is completely revolutionized the way that I approach first-person shooters and Twitch-based gaming. So I would say that I would wrap up my views of Xbox by saying I think after a few years of struggling with vision casting and really bringing together everything that Xbox can be, it really seems like they're at a point in 2018 where they're finally staying. It seems like they're finally going to be at a place where they can stay ahead of the expectations and not just kind of walk into them. So I hope I'm right. I hope I don't have to eat my words a year from now or 2 years from now.
I hope you're right as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Donnie, Xbox 2018 final thoughts.
It's funny that you mentioned that controller, because when that controller was announced, I wouldn't say I wasn't down on the controller, but I was down on the timing and when they scheduled it, because they announced it if I remember correctly, right before E3, and I just had this sense in my mind that they were gonna do that old Xbox thing where they were going to devote 20 minutes of their E3 conversation to talking about it. And seriously, I did, because I was like, oh man, they're going to do this like they do with all their peripherals, and they're not going to talk. They're not going to be games. And you want to talk about being completely wrong? I was completely wrong, because in 2018, Xbox killed it at E3. That was one of the best E3 performances they've ever had. I loved watching it. It was trailer after trailer after trailer, Game Pass, just trailers, and it was awesome, and really got me reinvigorated. And not that the adaptive controller isn't worthy of being on stage. It is worthy of being highlighted. I don't want to make it sound like that. I just didn't they needed to have the E3 that they had, and I didn't want anything to take away from it. And I was actually really glad in hindsight now that they had that awesome E3, that they have had this adaptive controller, and I still see it pop up. I see it pop up on news articles, in Times and things like that. People are using it on different consoles and PC, and it's a really neat thing that they're doing. I've even seen a lot of major news sites talk about how it's putting pressure on other console makers and PC to make this kind of a thing that's supported going forward, and releasing their own versions, and and that's really cool. But the E3 that Xbox had was incredible. I could have been completely wrong about what I thought going into it, and they just blew me away, and I loved it. And it's kind of set up it did a lot for the narrative that is Xbox. They're slowly turning the ship, and a ship like Microsoft turns slowly, but they're turning it. We're in mid-turn right now, and they're about to set course on a new destination that I think is so much more, rewarding than the destination we were on when this generation started. And I definitely think everybody feels it. PlayStation fans feel it, Nintendo fans feel it, Xbox fans really feel it. Everybody knows what's coming. They see it. We already hear about it in conversations, and we'll talk about it next month on the show when we talk about 2019 and kind of the future, but you're already hearing it on other shows, not even Xbox shows. Like when next gen launches, boy, if Xbox is doing A, B, and C, it's going to be real hard. They're already doing that. Even in a year where they only released 3 exclusive games, we're still hearing that. And like in what I would think, I don't think it would be crazy for Phil to say that maybe this is like a down year. It's not their best year. And even in that, they're still turning opinion on them because of everything else that they're doing. So, great job.
Yeah.
So for me, Xbox has done like echoing you guys, a great job in 2018. Like a good illustration there, turning that ship, Donnie, where they really, it's a course correction for them. It has been since Phil's been at the helm, to continue your analogy. It's been really good to see him in full swing now. He's got a year of the Scorpio or Xbox One X now under its belt. It's crazy to believe that that's only been out for a little over a year now at this point. And
talk about the sales for that thing. The thing is selling incredibly well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So
it is. I don't remember if I've seen the actual numbers, but the comment that I saw that it was selling extremely well and ahead of projections. So that is selling fantastically, and it is a testament to. And we'll talk about this again next month when we talk about what we want in the future. But some consoles are kind of exploring the VR realm and things like that. And does Xbox really need to, or do they just need to focus on the power and making themselves the most powerful? So focused on that this year was obviously a big win for them. And I do think that going forward that there's a lot of greatness that awaits. So I did.
Oh man!
I did just want to say that I believe that the state of the Xbox empire is strong, and that next month we'll be able to talk about a little bit more about that. But before we close out this month, before I toss back to you guys for plugs, I did want to mention that yes, Donnie, we are on Patreon. I don't know if you knew that or not. We are on patreon.com/PSVG, or if you have the Patreon app or whatever, you can go on to there and search PSVG. You'll find us on there. We're very humbled. I think I speak for Donnie when I say that the amount of support that we got in day one, where we hit all of our goals within 24 hours, is just crazy. So
that is crazy. That is, I mean, like that's like understating it. It's crazy.
There's no words that really accurately can express the gratitude that we have, and the fact that you enjoy the content that PSVG is putting out, across all of our platforms, the Nintendo Shack, the PlayStation XP podcast, and all the PSVG Prime shows. There's a ton of content that's coming your way. We're excited for the future for PSVG, and you can find us again, patreon.com/PSVG, if you would like to help out, like our fine producers have: Coach Hulk, Callow, Devin Tyus, Kevin Austin, Chris M., Kyle Hyman, and Professor Switch. Those are our producers for this episode, and they are just fantastic guys, people. You know what I mean? You want to know them. You want to get to know them a little bit better and say, "Hey, how's it going, man? I mean, you're a good guy."
I want to hug them. Well, yeah. Sorry, I just overcommitted there. I'm sorry.
I did hug Coach Hulk. I did hug him. He is
and you lived to tell the tale.
I think he popped my back. Like that was the best hug I've ever had.
Oh, nice.
I jumped up. He caught me in the air. It was fantastic.
Awesome.
It was in front of the Magic Kingdom, the castle there. So it was
a magical story you're telling.
That's right. But again, we thank you for your support over on Patreon. It's fantastic. So Donnie, plugs, final thoughts on anything you want to share.
Yeah, visit the blog, psvg.blog, so you can click on 2 important banners. 1, the Patreon. 2, big purple banner, Discord. Make sure you are in our Discord, which, at one time I was a member of like 20 Discords. And there are definitely Discords that are like really moving, by the way. Like there are Discords that are like crazy hard to keep up with. Our Discord's probably my favorite. And I know that's like biased, but like our Discord has like the right amount of like current discussion without like thousands of messages that make it look like the Matrix and it's just like going constantly.
Right.
You can kind of come in and you can catch up with like a couple scroll wheels of your mouse and get caught up to what's going. But it's nice. We're like a really nice little number. We probably have 30, 40 regulars that come in daily, plus the team. And then probably, 75, 100 that come in weekly, adding up all together. And it's a really nice place. You want to make sure you keep up with all the news, keep up with all our opinions on the news, keep up with our streaming dates. If you join the Patreon, one of those goals that we unlocked is PSVG DLC, which I'm very excited about. This is our mature rated R show, taking a page out of Lobo's background of unrated. And we don't know what we're going to do with this thing. Like, we really don't. We're going to have a drinking game. People want to talk wrestling. People want to talk sports. People want to talk stories. We may do a console wars segment. We have no idea, but it's going to be exclusive to the patrons. So if you don't subscribe, you're not going to get that episode, and there are no holds barred. And this is truly unrated. This is all Lobo's realm. Like, this is where we go and hash it out as a family and enjoy ourselves. And I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. I don't know what's going to be, but it's going to get crazy. It's going to get wacky. It's going to get weird. And that's good stuff.
Q, what would you like to plug or mention at the end of the show today?
Yeah, I want to plug in, the Patreon, but honestly, no one's paying me to say that. I do these shows because of my passion for the industry and for the community and for the game and for gaming. I think the Patreon is really cool because it really empowers us to do more, and it forces us to commit to give you more to the community, right? I think someone was asking me the other day, what is, because I was telling them about what the Patreon, they didn't know what a Patreon was. They're outside the gaming sphere. And they were asking me, like, why do you spend so much time talking about video games? And I'm like, honestly, like the best part of what PSVG creates, honestly, is the community that we have. I think the podcasts are great and the products that we create are amazing. But I think, honestly, the community on Discord and the type of people that are part of it and the conversations that are had there, like Donnie said, like, I've been in many other Discords and communities, and I leave those communities because I'm either bored or I'm just overwhelmed. And I feel like PSVG, the community that we've created, and that we not maybe created is too much, giving ourselves too much credit, but the community that we like to encourage and foster, I think is one of the best ones out there, probably. And that is because of the leadership that we have, like people like Donnie and Kevin, but also like just the great people that for some reason they want to listen to us talk about games. So I want to plug in the Discord. I think you're only getting a fraction of what PSVG is if you don't join the Discord. The Discord is huge. You won't regret joining the Discord. That community is just fantastic. So,
well said. And for me, I just wanted to mention that I thought it was pretty cool that on a lot of podcast services, including iTunes, this past week, we were number 3, just right behind Car Talk, and I can't remember what the other one was. On the
it was an NPR podcast.
Yeah, I mean, they were big. So we beat out a number of great other shows this past week, and we were number 3 on the games and hobbies category. So it's really cool to see that. Hopefully you guys are finding some great content to listen to on our feed. And we also have the other feeds, with the Board with Video Games crew, and also I think PSXP has their own podcast feed as well.
Yeah.
So check those guys out for their individual feeds. But, of course, you can find all the great content here on the main PSVG feed because, the mother load is right here. So you can follow the show at PSVG Xbox Empire if you'd like to interact with us on Twitter. Also on the Discord, you can go ahead and find us in there. Over on Twitter, I am at Voiced by Nathan. I think Donnie is at Playin' Nintendo. And Q, what's your handle over on Twitter?
I have to spell out my full name. It's not. Man,
good luck.
It's like the worst way to wrap up
Ask
the show.
him in the Discord. He'll give you the link in Discord.
You know what? Lobo Rican on X. Find me on Xbox. Lobo Rican. Add me as a friend. I will add you back, and I'll give you my Twitter handle. Then it will be much easier that way.
Very good.
Come find me on Xbox.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining me for this month's episode. It was a good little hour and so here, being able to walk down memory lane for the 2018 of Xbox, and I do look forward to next month being able to talk about the future, what we want from the Xbox. So we look forward to that next month. For you, dear listeners, thank you for listening, and the state of the Xbox empire has never been stronger.
The following is a paid advertisement. The opinions and views expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the PSVG Podcast Network or its employees, except for maybe Coach Mo. Are you looking for an amazing RPG? What about expansive multiplayer? Perhaps a single-player campaign as well. But what if that single-player campaign could be played with friends and not be watered down? Do you think it sounds too good to be true? Well, it sounds like the game dreams are made of. But wait, dreams can come true. Just pick up a copy of Madden 19, available on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Nintendo... Oh. Wait, no, never mind. Anyway, as I was saying, pick up a copy of Madden 19, one of the nominees for Game of the Year by PSVG. This message was brought to you by PSVG OT and Sports Gamers Unite.
This has been a production of the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network.